and I'll rejoice as you breathe your final breath. I'll live inside you forever, with Satan himself by my side.
Hi, hello, I'm Clove, and I was a cringy gacha kid in middle school. And recently I got a new phone, and while transferring some files, I found some old gems from my early YouTube days. And that made me want to revisit these old friends. Let's just say the designs and story were interesting, to say the least. And today I wanted to have a take on redesigning two of them. And these two were something. Meet Leaf and Flare, some very creative names, I know. And if you couldn't already tell, they were human Pokemon OCs. Leafeon and Flareon, to be exact. And these two were some of my first boy OCs ever, and when I made them, I also found out that guys can like each other. Little Clove discovered the gays. Yay! At the time when I made them, I was really into the comic called Evolution Squad, and the plot of the comic was basically where all the evolutions lived together. And these two were my ripoffs. They didn't really have any personality at all and were pretty much husks of characters. And since their names were kind of dull, I will be changing them as well. And with that, let's jump right into the redesigns. Flare's personality, well, lack thereof, was pretty much a shy twink femboy, and his story was the epitome of 2018 gacha cringe. In an old video I made back in 2020 that I deleted, it was his and Leaf's backstory in which Flare's sister is getting possessed unwillingly by a demon because she thinks Flare's boyfriend is going to take her brother away from her, and she's scared of getting left behind. So the demon makes her try to kill her brother for some reason by shooting him in the eye and side when he's on a date with Leaf. And because of his old lore, Flare took me a lot of attempts to redesign because I was trying too hard to make an interesting world to them, but also a lot more tame than what it used to be. I went from human experimentation to superheroes to ultimately just stepping away and almost dropping this video entirely. Then I read Rebound of the Heart, and then I realized I don't need a super interesting world setting. I can just be self-indulgent and make a slice of life high school romance. And then his design finally clicked for me. The main thing I wanted to keep from his old design was the reds, oranges, and yellows, because if I changed that, it really wouldn't be a redesign. And since it was now a high school setting, I wanted to give each character a little trait that could be used in like a school club, and for Flare, I gave him baking, so he would be in the cooking club. And on the side, he works at a little cafe that his grandma owns. I changed his name to Zachary, but he mostly goes by his middle name Benjamin. But I will refer to him as both Ben or Zach interchangeably. Sorry if that gets confusing. He just looks like a Zachary Benjamin. Zach's personality now would be rather sweet and attentive to others' emotions, and overall big brother vibes. But he's also rather very stubborn. Like forcing you to take care of yourself stubborn. So much to the point that he would forget to take care of himself and ends up looking like a hypocritic idiot. Ben was kind of the main character in what little story he had at the time, since he was my favorite OC. But now he'll share that spot more with Leaf because what's a high school romance without slow burn? The basic of these two stories that I've been envisioning so far is that they were childhood friends before Leaf had to move away because of his father's work. And because I can't have OCs without trauma, something happens I'm still working on what does happen the same day Leaf moves and Leaf didn't have the time to say goodbye, as a little icing on the trauma cake. And Ben had to move on without his best friend by his side until they met again in their first year of high school. But when they meet again, they don't remember each other, but they'll eventually figure it out, and I'll have like a calm argument, disagreement type of scenario because Leaf left without saying goodbye during a really tough point in Ben's life when he needed him the most. But they'll make up before we switch to Leaf's side of the trauma coin. And here's Zach. I finally found a design that I'm really happy with, and he's rather cute now. He's my little wet cat of a man, and I love him.
Can we do some cloud watching? That one looks like a face with its tongue sticking out. That one looks like wide pie, and this one kind of looks like a seahorse. I went through various different stages there in my brain. You probably heard it happen. Isn't that a line from Shrek? I feel like that's a line from Shrek.
Leaf's design was a lot more easier than Ben's because I had a clear vision in mind. So clear, in fact, it was like Apollo had given me the gift of prophecy. And then I looked at his first draft again, and then I realized his design was literally just a bunch of my favorite characters from multiple fandoms all smushed together, and I just went, screw it. And that's how we got his new name. I named him Travis. Yes, Travis after my street. His full name is even more of a reference. But anyway, since I gave Ben a baking hobby, I was like, what if I do a weird occupation pairing like that florist and tattoo artist AU on AO3? What would go with Baker in that sense? And then I fell down the Variant in the Seven Kingdoms rabbit hole. A baker and a robotic engineer alchemist was just too perfect for me to pass up. Travis's new personality, because his old one was literally just, I'm Ben's boyfriend. I wanted it to be more closed off due to him moving around a lot and not being able to get close to anyone since he would never stay in a town or city for more than a year. I just looked at him and threw attachment issues at him. And that's how he got into robotics, because if you can't get close to people, make robot friends instead. At the start of their new story, it would be when Travis moves back to his hometown and gets to finish high school without moving away 6 months in. But he still doesn't talk to anyone because, say it with me now, attachment issues! But eventually he meets Ben after being paired for a science project, but they don't remember each other. And after slowly becoming friends with Ben and his friend group, his personality becomes something like Jax from the Amazing Digital Circus, if he wasn't a douchebag. I love Jax, don't get me wrong, but he's still kind of a douchebag. But he's one of my favorite characters and kind of relatable, especially after episode 6. Travis likes pranks and a good laugh, but he's still pretty closed off emotionally and still has fears that he'll have to leave again. And that's the perfect plot for a mid-story misunderstanding, so he'll push everyone away. I love making my OCs sad. But hey, these are the happier ones. Most OCs I make, I kill off in gruesome ways, so these guys got the lucky draw of the stick. And here's Travis. I love him as well.
Oh no, they killed Zubul.
Don't ever call us that again.
I'm an angsty, rebellious disassembly drone now. I'd join you if the sun didn't kill me. But that was your mom!
I'd move on. And probably forget about you. God, you look stupid.
And with that, my gays with depression are done. Let me know if you guys want a part 2. I have a couple more old gacha OCs to redesign to expand the universe of these two. And I also had a lot of fun with this. I hope you guys like the designs. Like, subscribe, comment, whatever. Or don't. And have a nice time zone, my guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Peace out.